Hey, what's up, everybody? Chad Calek here, and welcome back to the In a Crowded Room podcast for episode number 203. Which on this episode, we are going to talk about the absolute mindfuck that is the success of Corey Feldman as the opening act of this summer's Limp Bizkit Loserville tour. As Corey Feldman is everywhere. He has burst onto the mainstream with all kinds of conspiracies about his performances. And guys, I gotta tell you, either Corey Feldman is biblically absolutely unaware of his own lack of talent, or we are witnessing the modern day rebirth of Andy Kaufman. And I can't tell which is true. But we're going to talk about all of that coming up, including my history with Mr. Fred Durst, because a lot of people have the question as to how in the hell did Corey Feldman wind up on this Limp Bizkit Loserville tour? And I believe I have some insight to that from my personal dealings with Mr. Durst. And we're also going to talk about a guitar solo that Corey Feldman is doing that has raised all kinds of conversation online as whether or not it's real or if he is or isn't playing it. And I have all those answers. And the answer is about as ridiculous as the performance itself. But before we get into that, I want to thank all of you. It's been about 6 or 7 weeks, I think, since I last posted, and I've gotten a ton of messages of people saying, man, are you okay? Are you alive? Are you at the hospital again? Like, what's going on? Thankfully, no, I am not in the hospital. Everything is more than fine. I did have about a 3.5 week kind of, well, I don't want to say a scare because I guess I wasn't really scared, but I'm coming up on the 18th month of this 18-month recovery process, and I had a bunch of tests scheduled. Basically, it involves everything from giving blood to MRIs and all this stuff, just to see how I'm doing now. And I had a high white blood cell count when they did my blood work, and they were concerned, only to be completely unconcerned at the end. It was something very small, and it was all good. So I am doing very well. But the primary reason for my absence was not that. It was the fact that I am putting as much time as I can into the Harbingers docuseries. And it's just, it's the best thing I've ever done. And I know I keep saying that. And, a lot of people have messaged me and have said, what's taking so long and all this stuff. And I think the real answer is what's taking so long. Well, it's two things. One is the new normal. The days of me doing 40, 46 hour, 48 hour edit sessions as I, powered down 5 hours and ripped through 3 packs of smokes. And, those days are just gone. I mean, that is what, nearly killed me. That kind of insane, choice to work on that level. It's just not something that I can do or should do anymore. And, my work schedule is just a lot slower than it was, even though my mind still works at the same speed. So a lot of times I'm like, oh yeah, I'll be done with this in like 2 weeks, 3 weeks, not realizing it's going to take me 2 months, just because I still have that same mental process, And the other reason is just simply because, when I got, out of the hospital, and believe me, I had a lot of time to think. The first stint was 67 days in there, and the second was 21. I mean, that's 87 days of alone time to kind of think about life. And, one of the things that I thought about, not to get too dark, but like, if it all ended, life, what would be the things that I regret not doing with my time? that I was here. And most of them are really personal stuff, like people, things that I want to say to people, memories I would like to create with people. But when it came to my work, I mean, one of the things that I really felt as though I had not experienced or discovered yet was like, how good of a filmmaker can I be? Or how good of a musician can I be? Because the difference between, I think where my ability is and what I can display to people really just comes down to that. How much time am I taking to put into it? If you give me, 5 days to tell a story or 5 months, I can promise you the 5-month version is going to be the better version. I've also learned a lot of new editing tricks, and I've been applying all of this stuff to Harbingers because I really want it to be the best thing that I can do at this time given these circumstances. And to tell the story how I want to tell it and to include the elements that I want to include, it just takes more time. But I am at the point where I'm about ready to start releasing some trailers and some footage and some scenes. And I have a massive announcement that I'm going to be making at the WarrenCon, which is coming up here, September 27th through the 29th. I will be there also speaking with Mr. Buell as well. And I will be releasing an extended piece of footage on Harbingers. But there is another announcement about a totally different project that you guys have not heard about yet that I'm going to be making. And I will also be bringing my partner on this mysterious project on to be a guest of this podcast very soon. And he is an incredible guy, and I'll just, save that for when the time comes. But there's a lot going on behind the scenes right now, which is so exciting, incredibly exciting. So I will have more of that coming soon. Also, you guys should know that by popular request, I should say, I have recorded a 2-part podcast with Ryan Buell in which together we recount the events of IM6. So I think you guys will truly enjoy that. And look, I'm going to do all I can to keep the podcast episodes coming, as many as I can, as fast as I can. And the best way to support the podcast, if you want more episodes, is to support us at Patreon. I'm going to play you guys some of the music I've been working on today. I've released one of the new songs. It's an original song I wrote called Forever Fire. I released it last night here on my YouTube channel. Those who have listened to it have really enjoyed it, which is great. I invite you all to go listen to the whole song. It really matters to me. It's going to be in Harbingers. I'm also going to play you a segment of a song that I wrote about my father that I'm going to be releasing on my Patreon page first. It's a song called Injustice. I'm going to play you part of that here. And I'm also going to be releasing another song called My Enemy, which I will play you part of that as well. We'll do that here in just a few seconds. But I want you guys to know just how much this music means to me. That is my first love, my first passion. And after losing my voice for 8 months, since I regained it, I have been singing non-stop. It is something that I decided once I got my voice back that I would never take for granted again. And that is a big part of the reason why I'm recording and writing and singing again. It's also the first time I recorded since 2014 or 2015, I believe. So yeah, it's been a long time. And without the help from my close friend and incredible executive producer Thomas, I wouldn't be able to do that. And it's just awesome knowing that I have an executive producer like him that truly cares about the product, because right now we're making something very special with Harbingers. And I think you guys will see that. But right now I want you to hear that. So here are some samples of the songs that I'm working on right now. And like I said, a Forever Fire, which I'll play part of here first. It's already released. And My Enemy and the song Injustice are going to be on the Patreon next week as well. So with that being said, here is a part of the song, A Forever Fire.
Even though she tried, she couldn't bring herself to love herself inside. She said, what is it about me that makes me prank for the pain of broken dreams? And if I light forever fire, will I ever feel alive? I know what love brings. And as the ashes fall like rain, oh, let the embers fall like tears from God that soak up all the pain. Between my dreams and memories are the things that I believed I could be, and they were all for you. So why do I feel this way? Why do I feel so broken and ashamed? When I surrendered, how the fuck am I to blame? If you're so much better than me, then why do we feel the same? Why do we love to play these games? Why do we light a forever fire just to burn everything in our name? Can you tell me, baby, why do we love to bleed? Please tell me, why do we love to bleed?
Alright, that was a part of the song Forever Fire. Here is a part of the song My Enemy, which again, all of these will be featured in Harbingers. Here is My Enemy.
As she bites her lip, she does her very best to look me in the eye. She says, I just can't bring myself to make believe if you're my friend in the end, it's all I'll ever need. And now I'm all alone, and I feel the fall coming on, and there is no one at home to tell me when it's time to walk away. So can you walk away from the thought that the one you love the most is gone? It hurts so long, it hurts so goddamn long. I don't want to lift my head from swollen hands or dry my eyes just to see your face again, because I just can't bring myself to make believe if you're my friend in the end, you will wind up my enemy. And now I'm all alone, and I feel the fall coming on, and there is no one at home to tell me when it's time to walk away. So can you walk away from the thought that the one you love the most is gone? It hurts so long, it hurts so goddamn long.
I hope you guys enjoyed that, and as I promised, here is a part of the song Injustice, which was written about my father, and it appears in part 1 of the Harbingers docuseries during a very emotional scene that, I'm excited for you guys to see. But here is a part of the song Injustice.
As I listened to his wisdom, I inhaled every word he said. He should have saved himself, but he protected me instead. So when the Harbingers came to town, I ripped a hole in the sky, cried injustice, and let heaven hear the sound. He was my only hero, who never let me down. So if you're gonna run from misery, don't bother. But if you can be the head of fate, I can be the other. Because he's with me now, like a memory in color. So if you wanna be a harbinger, I can be my father. If you're a harbinger, I can be my father. And I was only 15 when they said my life was over. but you just smiled and told me they don't know her. And when fate's hand folded over shadowlands, you said, boy, it's time to be a man. It's time to be a man. So when tragedy strikes again and pain is all you see, you can take 5 minutes to cry, then get back up on your feet. And then the harbingers came to town. I ripped a hole in the heavens and screamed injustice, so the gods could hear the sound. So the gods could hear the sound. He was my only hero, who never let me down.
And there you go, everybody. That is what I have been working on, or at least a part of what I've been working on over the last month. And yeah, these really mean a lot to me. So if you want to check out our Patreon page, the link, as always, is below. I hope you guys enjoyed those songs. Let's get into the insane rise of Corey Feldman and his band. You know, I made a podcast about him probably, I don't know, a year ago, where I was like, I don't know if this is a joke or not, because there's videos that are just ridiculous, of just absolute, just buffoonery on stage. And he's just doing things that any artist would know that you don't do. You know, like scream at your band for messing up the timing of a song, or yelling at the house to turn off the lights, or starting a show with the lights on, things like that. And, you know, it was funny, I guess it's probably three months ago or 2 months ago, I started getting a bunch of messages from people saying, I think Corey watched your podcast because he's responding, talking about this guy that questioned whether or not he was a fraud. And actually, I don't think he heard mine. Either right before or right after I put out my podcast, the singer for The Darkness also did a podcast similar, in which he kind of asked the same question. It was kind of like, is this guy faking? And in his title, he actually called Feldman a fraud. And I saw the interview where Corey pointed out the guy that did a podcast episode about him. And he mentioned being called a fraud, which is why I think he was referencing the Darkness Singers podcast. Justin Hawkins is, I think, his name. Which it's an obvious question, just because it's so ridiculous, the shit that he's doing. And I also got a lot of feedback from you guys saying, look, I'm glad that you didn't tear Corey Feldman apart, that you actually brought up real questions about his character and his past. And look, I didn't tear him apart because I have no hatred for the guy. I do think the guy has a lot of issues, because I don't understand. He's just a conundrum of problems. Like, everything he does seems to have a great irony to it. Like, his history of abuse and the things that he's brought out, you know, are terrible things, and, you know, predators and child predators and things like that, and the stuff he's saying he went through. But then you see, like I said, these videos where he has his wife living with him, and they have this program where they take in young girls, supposedly to help them with their career. But then he has like this sheet of paper where he makes it where they can only eat a certain amount of food, and they have to lose so much weight, and they can't wear blue jeans around his house. They have to wear lingerie, and like all this disturbing shit that is like, whoa. I realize like those girls aren't underage, but that's like dramatically close to trafficking. I mean, it really is. But then again, you know, he does all these shows. He goes out and he plays all these live shows, and he is fucking terrible. Like, don't get me wrong. Look, if you love music and you want to go perform it, there is no, like, you know, barrier to entry. Like, anybody can do it. Like, if you want to do it. And typically how it works is, if you're really bad, the crowd lets you know, and you get up on a stage and you get made fun of, and that feels bad. So you don't do it anymore because it feels bad. But Corey is like this just glutton for punishment, I guess, because his band is just shit on online like you can't imagine. And with good reason. His songs are terrible. They are terrible. The music is terrible. He does this really bizarre Michael Jackson thing where he kind of dresses like Michael Jackson and then he kind of tries to dance like him. And he's got this film that he made where he claims that Michael Jackson came to his set and asked him to show him some of his original dance moves, as though Michael Jackson was struggling for dance moves and he needed Corey Feldman to teach him. I mean, this shit is out of control. It really is. But I heard an announcement a while ago and it made so much sense to me. I was like, oh my God. And that was that Limp Bizkit was going out on a summer festival arena tour called Loserville. And they were bringing just a bunch of shitty acts. Really, really bizarre, weird opening acts in which most people haven't heard of them. And at the very last second, after announcing this tour, after he obviously saw, the viral footage of Corey Feldman, Fred Durst added Feldman's band to this lineup, in which everybody was like, this has got to be a joke. He's not going to really put Corey Feldman in auditoriums, right? And arenas and stuff? No way. Well, yeah way. And if you know anything about Fred, it really isn't surprising. I have worked directly with Fred Durst before. And it was, it left a lot to be desired, I was in a band called 35 Inch Mutter that we began in like 1994. And I think Limp Bizkit began in 1996. By the time they were blowing up, or just before they blew up with Faith, my band had known all about Limp Bizkit because my band was like a rap, rock, hardcore band. And we had infused, like I said, the rap vocals with really heavy. We were more, like I said, metalcore or hardcore, like more on like a, Pantera style of music or like... yeah, I guess that's the closest thing that I could think of that people would relate to, or like Machine Head or something like that.
Right now it's time to bring some pain. Scheming for your own gain. No one put up cause I'm going insane. Breaking chains and fall. You fought it off but I caught you sleeping. Now will you play the game? A fall victim every slave. No matter, it all is the same. Your dreams and hopes up in flames. Burnt down battleground. It's a full-scale war and it is war in store for you. It's a full-scale war. Bring it. It's a full-scale war. Bring it on. It's a full-scale war. Bring it. It's a full-scale war. Bring it on.
But we knew all about Limp Bizkit. And we ended up getting on a show that was ended up starting a huge music scene rivalry between my band and Slipknot, of all bands, way back in the day, where we were selected to open up for Limp Bizkit and the Deftones, which at the time, the Deftones were like, dude, I thought they were the coolest shit the world had. I still love the Deftones, but I was so excited to open up for them and Limp Bizkit. And at that time, Faith hadn't really taken off. That was the cover that they did that really blew them up. And so Fred was opening for Deftones. And I remember that show, everybody was kind of whispering about Chino, the singer for the Deftones, because he just had this incredible persona that was very rock star-ish, but was very mysterious. He was one of those guys, it's kind of like Maynard from Tool, he just doesn't do interviews or anything. And I remember when he walked into soundcheck, you could have heard a pin drop. Everybody was like whispering, like, oh, that's Chino over there. And through a weird series of events, I actually ended up taking Steph Carpenter, the guitar player of the Deftones. I actually ended up driving him to the mall to get a white t-shirt because all of his were dirty and he needed a white one to play that night. And while we were there, Limp Bizkit was just starting to set up to do their sound check. And he, told me all kinds of stories about Fred that he was not a fan. He was just basically saying that, pretty much he's a media whore. He'll do anything for headlines. He will say he knows anybody. Specifically, he pointed out how on the Limp Bizkit record, there's this song where he says, had to hang out with Chino and the Deftones. And he was like, yeah, when he wrote that song, dude, I was like, yeah. And he's like, he didn't even know us. And he just put it in his song to make people think that he did, you know? I'm like, oh, interesting. So, but regardless, I loved Limp Bizkit at the time. I thought they were dope as hell. And, you know, I remember when I said that when, you know, Chino walked in, you could hear a pin drop. Well, when Fred walked in, it was just chaos. It was noise. His band was, you know, just kind of loud. They were cool, but they were just loud about everything they do. And Fred was specifically trying to be seen by everybody. And his thing that he did back then, because nobody knew them, you know, to make a mark, his whole thing back then was to tell the band and the city, they suck and fuck you. And that was like his whole thing from song one till the end. You know, this is before there was social media. So he was still trying to do this stuff with the idea being that most bands play live shows. They're really thankful to the audience. They thank them for listening, for, you know, going off, for having their talent. They say, I hope I can come back and play for you, that type of thing. Where Fred's thing was, you know, Des Moines fucking sucks. God, this is a shithole. You guys suck. Everybody fuck off. And like, he did this the whole time. And the crowd didn't know what to think. To his credit, they didn't know what to think. They're like, whoa. And when the show was over, that's what everybody talked about. They talked about, and the Deftones were killer. I mean, they killed it that night. And I'll never forget the one time before the show, I had one opportunity to talk to Fred. And I had just talked to DJ Lethal, who was mad cool. Actually ended up watching our show like 5 feet from me the whole time we played. He stood and watched us the whole show. Lethal did. And he was super cool afterwards. But anyways, before we played, I walked up to Fred. And I was waiting for like a moment, you know, where it like makes sense to address somebody. And he ended up talking to the stage manager who was talking to us about our equipment and everything too. And there came a moment where it made sense to just kind of say hello. And I had said to Fred, I said, hey man, you know, stoked to play with you guys tonight. Stoked to open the show. You know, big fan of your band, dude. And cool to meet you. I'm Chad. And he was like, what's your name? And I go, Chad. He goes, what? And he like leaned in again like I wasn't being loud enough. I'm thinking, what the fuck is wrong with this guy? Can you not hear me? And I lean in, I'm like, Chad. And he goes, oh, Chad. I go, yeah. And he goes, huh. I don't know any Chad. And he turned around and walked away. Fucking dick. Looking back at it now, I can kind of see the comedy in it, but it's like, dude, what the hell? I mean, are you that committed to the shtick? You know what I mean? Anyways, crazy show, crazy night. But when I heard that Fred was going to do the Loserville tour and he added Corey Feldman, I knew exactly what he was doing. It's, you know, Barnum and Bailey. It's a circus. It's the fucking three-legged man, right? It's like, I paid my money. Now show me that fucking third leg. Show me that abomination. You know? And that's what he's doing right now. He's doing the Barnum and Bailey circus. And Corey's music and his dancing and all of it is an abomination. But what I don't understand is, does Corey love it or not? Because you'd have to love it to some degree. Because he's getting just annihilated by people. You know, like I said, just Google search Corey Feldman, Loserville, and just look at the amount of videos of people shitting on him. But the thing is, he is the thing that everybody is talking about. Everybody. Like when you talk about the Loserville tour, and Limp Bizkit, the band itself, they are incredible. They're an incredible rhythm section, incredible music. I mean, the rib against them has always been, Fred's a cornball. Fred's just goofy. He's just a corny dude. He's not that talented as far as the vocalist goes, or, you know, he's great with a live crowd. I'll give him that. He knows how to get a crowd involved and entertained. And whether you love him or hate him, like you will love a Limp Bizkit show. Like I said, we ended up playing with him a couple more times as well. And they always killed it. They were always awesome. But like I said, it's always about something else besides the music. Now Fred's doing this thing where he dresses like an old dad, and he's like got this song about rocking the dad bod and all this shit. And he has these hilarious music videos that he makes. So he knows how to get people involved beyond the music. And he knows how to get people to look past the fact that they're 50 some years old. So all credit to him, but that's exactly what he's doing with Corey Feldman. It is, he's the wolf man, he's the, like I said, the three-legged man. He's just the circus. And Feldman plays into it in the most perfect way. And it is absolutely a formula, that we've seen before. But it's been a long time since we've seen the Kaufman formula. And the Kaufman formula is, you can be as bad as you want at the thing that you're doing. Like when Kaufman was doing his wrestling stuff, he was horrible at it, right? But he treated it like it was this serious thing that was real, like it was a passion in his life. And that seems to be what Corey Feldman is doing. This whole Kaufman-esque type presentation where Feldman lives, eats, drinks, sleeps, and dies music. Like, I am so passionate about music. But then he goes out and just puts on an abomination of a show. And he started doing something new that I guarantee I know where this comes from, just being out there. At the end, he released this song that Fred Durst, of course, directed the music video, called The Joke. And I would play it here, but they'd probably strike it. But you can search it. Just search The Joke. And the chorus is basically like, the joke is on you. And he's basically telling everybody, like, yeah, I'm completely fucking around with you guys, and you're all going for it. Well, every night that Corey Feldman's on this tour, he's watching Limp Bizkit play. And he's watching the crowds that they pull, and they pull large crowds. Like I said, stadiums, or not stadiums, I guess, but arenas, amphitheaters, very big crowds. They're one of the top draws today. And he's watching the band play every night, and they're incredible. And he realizes that he's nowhere close to this talent level. So when Corey Feldman plays the song The Joke, at the end of the song, he grabs this guitar, and he plays guitar for the whole song while he's singing. And then at the end of the song, he does this guitar solo, I guess you're going to call it that. And it is beyond ridiculous. It is truly Kaufman-esque. And he does it so seriously, like he's trying to fool the audience. And just so you know what I'm talking about, let me play this for you, and then I'll tell you the controversy when it's over. All right, check out Corey Feldman's guitar solo. Here we go.
Thank you very much!
Okay, so that is Corey Feldman's guitar solo. And there's all kinds of videos online of people saying, one, he's not playing the guitar for real because you can't hear the guitar during the song. And then there's people saying he's not playing the guitar solo, that's all fake. And then there's other people saying there's someone else playing the guitar solo and he's basically lip syncing or lip playing it. And then there's other people saying, No, he's playing it, but just really bad. Well, I can solve every every conspiracy theory surrounding this performance here. I have the answers. I can solve it all. For one, the song The Joke is in drop D tuning. What drop D tuning is, you take your top string, which is the E string, and you tune it down to a D so that your top 3 strings on your guitar go D-A-D. If the top 3 strings are D-A-D, then with one finger, you can hold down the top 2 strings on any fret, and if you hit those top 2 strings, it will make a power chord. That's in tune on any fret, okay? So people have said, well, it looks like he's playing the bass. He's only hitting one string as he's playing this. Yes, he's drop D tuned. So someone's taught him the rhythm and where the frets are, and he's doing his best to try to play along as he sings it.
The joke is on you. Hope you like my driven, that's a man as you do. The joke is on you. Take a tongue when I can write it, it's a zigzag blue. And the finest stalking shit, calling me an idiot. Don't know how I handle it. Is it like a follow him? Chicks me like the close again. Followers will up again.
And then the other thing has been, well, you can't hear his guitar when he's playing it. Well, I'm sure the reason that is because when you play these live shows, there's 2 sound systems going on. There's one that's on stage, that's the monitor mix. Usually that guy is off to the side of the stage and he's controlling the sound of the band back to the band members, right? So those monitors in front play back music because, believe it or not, when you're behind those front of house speakers as the band, you honestly can't hear your music, even if it is so loud that it is filling up an amphitheater. If you are behind those speakers, you can't hear it. And you forget that music travels, like it's an actual thing. Sound travels, so it travels away from you. So I'm sure what's going on is if their front of house guy cares about the actual musicians that are in Corey's band at all, what's going on is he's feeding Corey back his own guitar through the monitors. So Corey thinks he's playing along and he hears himself playing these drop D-tuned guitar. And then at the front of the house, I'm sure the front of the house is just shutting his guitar off. So all you hear is their actual guitar player. Because when I've listened to the performance back, there definitely is not 2 guitars that are coming out of the front of house. It's only 1 guitar. And that is the actual talented guitar player that they have, which the guy they have is fine. He's like an old touring rock kid. I actually know who the guy is. He's played in a lot of bands around the LA area. Now, when it comes to the guitar solo, this blows my mind. He's really playing, but none of those are notes. That's all Corey Feldman is doing is he's watching Wes Borland for Limp Bizkit, and he's seeing how he does his solos, right down to how he mouths out the sounds with his mouth. So Corey is just turning on a delay pedal. There's a heavy delay, which means it's just an echo. Like when you hit a note on a guitar, when you have the delay pedal on, you hit the note, you'll like hit one note, right? You go bang, it'll go bang, 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 it'll echo out. So Corey's there's active pickups, meaning that every time he touches those guitar strings, it's picking up every bit of contact on the strings. So all Corey's doing is just taking his fingers and just lifting them and setting them back down as fast as he can over those strings as he just strums those bottom strings. And you get this abomination of sound that he's calling his guitar solo. So why anybody would say he's faking that would imply that there's some guitar player that wants to play something that shitty that's somewhere hiding, playing this horrific solo. Like, trust me, there's nobody hidden playing the guitar that bad. That is, in fact, Corey. So, but the genius in all of this, again, is the Kaufman success of it all. Because in all of his interviews, And everything, it's always like, I've done so much. I've been playing shows for 30 years. I've performed with the biggest. Everybody, I performed with the guys from Pink Floyd. I performed with Cyndi Lauper, Michael Jackson, like, even that, like, a Good Morning America show that he went on, whatever that morning show was, and he did that, that angel dance, and that song was, God, what was that song? I can't even remember it, but anyways, that song and that performance was fucking horrible, right? Anybody who could watch that would go, that's horrible. Well, just because of the exposure and the virality of that moment, that song ended up making, Go For It was in the song, Go For It. That song ended up making it like in the top like 100 for like that week. And he brags about that. And that's the Kaufman side of it, where it's like, you know, he's like, Corey would take that and go, yeah, everybody's making fun of me, but look, man, I'm number 43 on the top 100. But yeah, not because you're good, not because you wrote a great song, performed it well, and touched somebody. You're on there because, again, you're the three-legged man, dude. You're the three-legged man. And just like at the concert at Loserville, you're the three-legged man. And everybody paid, and it's time for you to show them that third fucking leg. Get out there and show me that monstrosity. And he does it. And I don't get it, because we've never seen anything like this in music. And I think the reason is that there's something about music that's kind of sacred to all of us. Music like represents times in our life, things in our life, moments that are special to us, eras of our life. You know, there's always been kind of a sacred cow element to music. So we've never seen this before with music, where somebody, like even with Weird Al Yankovic, it's accepted that he's cornball, and he's actually fairly talented. We've never seen someone that's just fucking horrible at music. And he's horrible at everything. He has terrible time. He can't stop a song. He can't dance on beat with starts and stops of songs. He can't play any instruments, but he tries to fool everybody into believing that he can drum, that he can play guitar. His singing's terrible. But yet, this guy is the most talked about and most anticipated artist on the current biggest summer rock tour in the country. Somehow he has done this. So the question is it intentional? Is he a genius that just doesn't care if he's getting paid, and it's better than digging a ditch? Or does he truly love music, and he's just willing to take whatever beating is necessary to do it for a living? Or is this actually an acting performance? Is this, like I said, the rebirth of Kaufman? My best guess is it's probably a little bit of all of them. I think he does like music. I think you'd have to just take a beating like that constantly. I think in his mind, he probably is clueless and can't see why people don't see, his incredible vocal and dancing ability and everything. I think he's probably a little confused. I think he's probably a little pissed off. And I think there's a part of him that definitely knows the way to go viral and to become the talked about thing. Because that guitar solo that he's doing, he had to have known when he started doing that. It's painful. That's the best way I can say it. It's painful. And if it is all a troll, Corey Feldman, touche. Because I have not seen anything like this. I find it disturbing. I do. I find the whole thing disturbing. Truly disturbing. But I would love to know what you guys think. Again, is this a troll? Or is he just that oblivious? I find it hard to believe a human being could be that oblivious. And the guitar solo just makes me feel like it's 100% a troll. So, I don't know. I would love to know your guys' thoughts. Let me know. And if you've gone to the Loserville tour and you've seen Corey Feldman's performance, let me know in the comments what you guys think. And last but not least, guys, if you want to hear, like I said, the full versions of my original music that I just released, that's going to be featured in Harbinger's please visit my Patreon, become a member, and support the effort to bring on an editor here to get this podcast back so we can rock 5 to 6 episodes every week. Until then, again, everybody, thank you for all your love and for everybody reaching out. I appreciate it. I am doing really good. And I will be back tomorrow with more. All the best.